Hey guys, it's Jen here with another motivational 5 minutes. And today we have two guests that are going to be discussing remembering why you decided you wanted to write, and also something else that is really, really important, embracing your crazy and just embracing who you are. So, without further ado, the two people discussing this today are Stephen King and George R. Martin.
Thank you. It, it's all downhill. It's all downhill from here. But yeah, so my mother raised us, and she was a reader herself, and she read to us, and she read comic books when we brought them home. She didn't like it, but she would. And I remember very vividly when I was about 7 years old, sitting out on the porch in this apartment where we lived in Stratford, Connecticut, and she read us Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I kind of, that was another thing that sort of tripped my dials. But around that same time, we were living in apartments in Connecticut, and my mother was working. She worked in a laundry for a while. And she worked in a bakery for a while, and she was a housekeeper for a while. And we didn't have much because our dad left her with a lot of bills when he ran out. But my brother came running into the room one time. We were latchkey kids before there were latchkey kids. So we got home from school. My mother was working. We had the apartment to ourselves. And David said, "You got to come up to the attic. I found a whole bunch of our dad's stuff that our mother had, stowed there." So we went up. And there were boxes and boxes of stuff. He was in the Merchant Marine, and there was stuff from overseas, and there were little, Japanese dolls, and there were drink coasters from foreign places, ports of call, as they used to say. And there was a box of books, and they were paperbacks, and the one on the top was The Thing from the Tomb by H.P. Lovecraft. And when I saw that, I said, "That's really scary. This is what I want to do." So, yeah, I think that the same thing is true for me. I just started to fantasize at some point, and then I began to put the fantasies down on paper. And this is a wonderful job, but it's a strange job in that the stuff that I've written, there's one story called Survivor Type about a doctor who is muling heroin into the United States, and his ship sinks, and he is the only survivor, and he winds up on this rocky island where there's really nothing. And there are a couple of birds, and there's some water that gathers in cracks in the rocks, but he catches one of the gulls and eats it raw. And while he's chasing another one, he snaps his ankle, and after that he can't catch the birds anymore. But he does have all this heroin, and he is a doctor. And at that time, I was living in a little town in Maine, and we had a retired doctor who lived next door. So I went over to him and I said, "Dr. Drews, how long could a man survive by cutting off pieces of himself and eating them?" And he gave me this look like, like I was fucking crazy. But I persisted, and finally he said it would depend. First of all, he would die if he didn't have anesthetic. And I said, "Well, he's got anesthetic. He's got plenty of anesthetic." And then I said, "But what would be the biggest problem?" And he said, "The biggest problem in a case of cutting pieces of yourself off." You see, I got this idea because miners in cave-ins, when they run out of water, will drink their own urine. And so he said it would depend on how long the patient could withstand the repeated shocks to his system. And he said he would really have to be a survivor type to do that. I thought, well, there's the name of my story right there, survivor type. And all I'm trying to say here is you just have these sick ideas. George has written his share, believe me. And instead of going to a shrink and paying the shrink, we write them and you pay us. It's a pretty good deal.
Right.
So there you have it. Enjoy who you are. Remember why you started writing. If you will, leave a comment down below. What was your moment when you knew you wanted to be a writer? As always, we have extra information for you at authorpreneurs.ok.com or check us out in the meetup. Till next time, happy writing.